talk this business.
It's the kind of hour every Sunday night from 7 to 8. We making it great. Shout out to Pat Waldish, Ballet's finest.
Hey guys, welcome back to the kind of hour. Let's talk dance with Ashani and Mfuko. I say Ash, you say Mfuko. Ashani and Mfuko. Okay, that's how it normally works, but I can't hear you. If you're saying it, I can't hear you, so it doesn't really work. It worked, I know, it worked well at our 1-year anniversary breast cancer charity event that we had in October, but we're not talking about that right now. Okay, so we're back, and we're here with Nia Love from DNA. So, if you're listening in right now, you can't see Nia, but if you're watching the video highlight from this show later, you'll be able to see her. She's so pretty. She's so, seriously, we look like we could be sisters right now. Yeah. But she's a little cuter than me, but that's okay. I'm not mad at her. I'm not mad. Her daughter is the cutest one, though. So we can't even compete with that. But anyway, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Ashani.
Happy to have
So
you.
excited to be here.
Yay. So let's get right in and talk about your modern roots situation that's happening at DNA. What's that about?
Well, I want to just back up just a little bit because I've been at DNA for about 15 years. I remember actually when Makata was born, and she's 17 now.
Oh my goodness.
And I took Jana's class. Jana Hicks teaches at DNA, and I came in, and then I took Lori's class, and I used to come with Makata in my little, it was like a little rocker thing. So I put her over on the side, and I just say, "Is it cool that she is
I
in
brought my
class?"
baby, is that
Because
all right?
I'm breastfeeding, but if I do that, and then she'll be cool, and then we can dance, and then
we can just dance.
blah.
And it's fine.
And DNA was so like open for that, and it was like maybe one of the few places in New York City that I felt welcomed, beside any of the other African traditional schools. Like at that time when I took classes at DNA, there was Ferretta, which is right next door, and that was 622 Broadway in Houston. That was prior to it moving down at Canal Street, and I just felt so welcome there, and I've been there ever since. So I created a class called Modern Roots because it looks at the Africanist presence inside of the American modern dance form, which I think often gets a little overlooked, or no, I'm not going to say little.
I was going to say often.
Yeah.
You mean always?
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Right.
Let's keep
And so when we talk about core information, and particularly when we look at dance in the collegial situation or system, we often talk about modern dance and ballet being the core facilitator of the movement. And in fact, that's a very European sensibility, which automatically doesn't acknowledge the African sensibility that has been a part of the American experience since the beginning of the European experience. Exactly. And so I tried to figure out what is it that I can give inside of part of my bio or part of my description for class that initiates that honor, that respect. And I thought of modern roots. Now it unfortunately is not very, very huge talked about idea in that sense, meaning modern roots, meaning the class itself. So I'm looking forward to this experience being on your show to be an opportunity to reach into communities that may not know about DNA on this sense. And I'm talking about the African American community, because a lot of sisters don't frequent my class, and brothers either. And they may come and they may take classes that they think they need to take, to help facilitate more of their stage presence. But that's only because the collegial system or the educational system in this country gears us to believe that it's the European sensibility that's the most important, and I'm here to absolutely bring another kind of facilitation in that conversation.
I love that. You got deep on me for a minute there. I'm gonna need a minute to just
process.
Okay, I'm back. So, what can people expect from your class? So if I came to take your class, what type of experience would that be for me?
Well, that's really interesting, and the class is always changing because I think as artists, as dancers, as facilitators of communication with the body, I think that we're always trying to reinvent ourselves, and so unlike a class that usually continues the same way each time, I don't start the same way each time, although I have the same type of agenda, and my agenda is in the beginning to kind of get people open and ready to move through space. And I get them open and ready to move through space by mere walks that magnify inside of rhythmic pulses. And we go across the floor. That's the first thing that I do that starts a whole cardio sensibility. And then it's through that cardio sensibility that I then start to extend out into a musculature understanding, and really have borrowed a lot of information from Simonson technique. And I think that it's the Simonson technique that has really brought me into a certain kind of a focus inside of my core and my body. But I also challenge that too, because as an African mover and as an African American woman, my alignment is very different from, let's say, a white woman's alignment or an Asian woman's alignment. And so, and I think that's also something that we don't often talk about in Pilates. We often don't explore that in the whole idea of anatomy and what that means, and how do we then redefine alignment. And so my class starts in that kind of way. So I go across the floor, and then I come through the center, and we do a little yoga. We also do a little sensibility Pilates and that idea. And then we go across the floor with a huge kind of, sometimes we go across the floor, sometimes we don't have a lot of time, but sometimes we go across the floor with really kind of big movement that moves down into the ground, back up and around to the ground in spirals, and then I give a combination. On Thursday nights, Marjani Forte of Urban Bushwoman, well, she used to be of Urban Bushwoman, now she's of Love Forte Collective, and so we do a collaborative class, which is I don't know anybody in New York City that teaches like that except for at DNA. DNA allows us to do that. So we have two major choreographers in the class that are teachers. And the important part of that is that Marjani is 26 years old and I'm 49.
Oh my gosh.
And so,
do you see people, if you could just see, oh my Lord, are you serious?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, got distracted.
But dance keeps us alive, it keeps us young, it keeps us sweating and our pores clean and open and our muscles moving. So anyway, so we teach that class on Thursday nights together at 7:30 to 9:30, and she brings some of her stuff that she's incorporated out of Urban Bushwoman, and as well as all the other stuff that she brings to the plate. I think she worked with Earl Mosley, and she's done all kind of stuff. And then I bring my stuff to the plate as well. And so it's an incredible class. And I teach on Saturdays from 12 to 2. And I want to see folks come, because my class is not packed. And it should be jam-packed. And I see folks up in there, the class is packed. Okay? And I'm like, come on now, I'm coming with some sense.
People don't know, but guess what? They're gonna know now. And if you don't know, you better ask somebody. Right? That's what I tell people.
That's right.
I want to get in your class. I teach on Thursday nights out in New Jersey. Maybe I need to quit.
No,
I ain't do anything. I'm joking.
Because I got to come take your class too. See, because that's what it's about. And you talked about that earlier. I know we only got a few minutes, but you talked about that earlier. And it is about the support of the communities and the different communities in New York. There's 5 boroughs in New York City. And for me to be a part of the Harlem experience, because I live in Harlem,
and
but also to be a part of that experience in Brooklyn and part of that experience in Queens. I mean, and all of those kind of experiences are really, really imperative, and we got to support each other, network through it.
Absolutely. And people uptown, we need to go downtown.
Please.
Go to DNA, right? Because we get stuck up here and we're like, oh, downtown, it's so far. Oh gosh, I can't. And it's like, it's not that serious.
Hey, it's an A
train.
train.
On the train. Yeah, it's not
an
A
train.
It's just an express train.
Totally.
Get down
right there and boom. And then you're there.
So I need to get in that. Saturdays 12 to 2 also. We're going to take a short commercial break and we're going to come back with more of you, because I'm enjoying this.
I am too.
I want more. Okay.
I want to hear you talk this business.
It's the kind of hour every Sunday night from 7 to 8.